All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Yeah, always great to be here.
Yeah, so today we're going to be looking at something that's definitely going to be relevant for all of our UPSC aspirants out there, especially those of you focused on the current affairs section for the mains exam.
Right. And might even pop up in the prelims, too.
Absolutely. So this is coming straight from the Global Times, and it's about a joint naval exercise that's happening right now. It's called Security Belt 2025. And the players involved are China, Iran, and Russia.
Yeah, this is actually the fifth time they've held this particular exercise together since 2019.
Wow.
So, on the surface, it might sound like a routine drill, but there's a lot more going on here than meets the eye, especially when you consider where it's happening.
Oh, yeah. Where is this exercise taking place?
So it's all going down near Iran's Chabahar port in the Gulf of Oman, and that's a really strategic location.
Okay. I can see why that would raise some eyebrows.
Huh? Yeah. The Gulf of Oman, it's what we call a choke point in geopolitics. It's basically this narrow passage that's a major bottleneck for ships, especially those carrying oil and gas.
So like a major energy highway.
Exactly. And that makes it incredibly important for global trade and energy security. I mean, think about it. Any kind of disruption there could have ripple effects across the world.
Yeah, definitely something UPSC could ask about. So what's the official reason for this exercise?
Well, according to the Global Times, they're saying it's all about, deepening military trust, cooperating on counterterrorism, and making sure things are safe and secure at sea.
Sure, those are pretty standard justifications, but I mean, come on, are we really supposed to believe that's all there is to it?
Right. Well, you have to remember the timing of this is really key. We're seeing this exercise against the backdrop of, some pretty major global events, especially the situation in Ukraine and all the pressure that Russia's facing from the West.
Right, so this could be seen as a way for China, Iran, and Russia to kind of show the world that they're sticking together.
Exactly. It's a way for them to project strength and unity in the face of all this international pressure.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, there's one detail in the Global Times article that I found really interesting. China sent a Type 052D destroyer and a Type 903A replenishment ship to the exercise. And get this, those are the same ships that were just at a different exercise with Pakistan a few weeks ago.
Oh, wow. So back-to-back deployments.
Yeah, it seems like China's really trying to make its presence known all over the place.
Yeah, and the choice of ships is significant, too. The Type 052D is one of their most advanced destroyers, packed with all sorts of high-tech weaponry. And the Type 903A, that's a replenishment ship, which means it can keep the fleet going for much longer at sea, providing fuel supplies, you name it.
So China's basically saying we can operate wherever we want for as long as we want.
Pretty much, and that's a big deal for everyone in the region, especially India.
Right. India's always been concerned about China's growing naval power.
Absolutely, and for good reason. I mean, this exercise is a prime example of how China is projecting its power further and further from its own shores, and that directly impacts India's security calculations in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, this is definitely the kind of scenario UPSC could throw at you in the exam, having you analyze the implications for India's foreign policy.
Definitely. They might even ask something like, how should India adapt its strategy in light of these developments?
Okay, so we've talked about China, Iran, Russia showing off their military might in a strategically crucial area. But is this a direct threat to anyone in particular, maybe the West as a whole?
Well, the Global Times article actually quotes an expert who insists that the drill is not targeted at any third party.
Interesting. But we can't just take that at face value, can we?
Exactly. In international relations, perception is everything. Even if this exercise isn't meant to be hostile, different countries might see it that way, and that can lead to real tensions.
So a lot of it comes down to how different countries interpret these events.
Right, and understanding those different perspectives is crucial for analyzing global politics, which is, a big part of the UPSC.
Absolutely. So for all of our listeners out there who are studying for the UPSC, what would you say are the key takeaways from this situation?
I'd say the first thing to remember is the strategic importance of that location, the Gulf of Oman. It's a choke point that can impact global trade and security, so understanding that is essential.
Right, that's what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and that's the second big takeaway is China's growing naval power and how that's changing the balance of power in the region. I mean, those ships we talked about, the destroyer and the replenishment ship, they showed just how capable China's Navy has become.
And how willing they are to use it.
Right. And then finally, you can't forget about the complex geopolitical dynamics at play here. We're seeing alliances shifting, and this exercise is a clear example of how those shifts are playing out in the real world.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack, but it really highlights how even seemingly simple events can have major consequences.
Absolutely. And understanding those nuances is key for doing well in the UPSC.
Okay, so let's turn this over to our listeners now. What do you all think about this situation? How should India respond to these developments?
Yeah, drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your analysis.
And if you found this deep dive helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more UPSC-focused content.
And just a reminder, the source for all of this was the Global Times.
All right, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
See you then.